In a forceful address, the speaker began by drawing parallels between two dates etched in modern memory: the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks in the United States and the October 7th assault against Israel. He opened with a stark reminder: we also have a September 11th. We remember October 7th. On that day, Islamist terrorists committed the worst savagery against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. The reference to America's 9/11 served as both a symbolic and practical framework for the message. He recalled how, in the aftermath of the attacks in New York and Washington, the US government had pledged unwavering pursuit of those responsible. The comparison was not accidental. It was central to the argument that nations today must act with equal resolve. What did America do in the wake of September 11th? It promised to hunt down the terrorists who committed this heinous crime wherever they may be. And it also passed a resolution in the Security Council of the UN 2 weeks later that said governments cannot give harbour to terrorists. These words, delivered with deliberate weight, underscored the notion that history had already provided a roadmap. America had responded not only with military action, but with international consensus, creating a precedent that still applies. From there, the speaker shifted focus to recent events, positioning them as a direct continuation of that precedent. Well, yesterday we acted along those lines. We went after the terrorist masterminds who committed the October 7th massacre, and we did so in Qatar, which gives safe haven. It harbours terrorists, it finances Hamas, it gives its terrorist chieftains sumptuous villas, it gives them everything. The mention of Qatar was pointed, signalling a wider geopolitical critique. According to him, the small but wealthy Gulf state plays a dual role, on one hand presenting itself as a mediator in regional conflicts, while on the other serving as a sanctuary and financier for groups that carry out attacks against Israel. By naming Qatar directly, the address cut through diplomatic layers to send an unequivocal message. His tone sharpened as he delivered a warning not just to Qatar, but to all nations that, in his words, make the mistake of sheltering militants. And I say to Qatar and all nations who harbour terrorists, you either expel them or you bring them to justice, because if you don't, although the sentence trailed off, the meaning was unmistakable. The implied threat was that inaction would not be tolerated and that states failing to act could face consequences themselves. This declaration fits into a broader pattern, framing terrorism not merely as a localized or isolated issue, but as a global challenge demanding accountability. By tying the October 7th massacre to the memory of 9/11, he sought to remind the international community that tolerating or excusing extremist violence anywhere undermines security everywhere. The broader context also reflects ongoing debates about the role of Qatar in the Middle East. Long considered a key player due to its financial resources and strategic alliances, Qatar has often been criticised for allowing Hamas leadership to operate within its borders. Its leadership argues that hosting such figures enables dialogue, but critics see it as a cover for complicity. By raising this issue so publicly, the speaker not only escalated diplomatic pressure, but also reshaped the narrative around October 7th. It was no longer just about Israel's security, but about the responsibilities of every nation under international law. The underlying point was that terrorism thrives when given sanctuary, and that history has shown the cost of looking the other way. The structure of the address was deliberate, first drawing on the emotional memory of 9/11, then connecting it to the horror of October 7th, before moving on to the specific charge against Qatar and the broader principle of accountability. Each step built on the last, creating momentum toward the climactic call to action. The unfinished statement at the end left space for interpretation, but also carried dramatic force. It hinted at consequences without spelling them out, leaving the audience to consider the seriousness of the warning. In essence, the message was clear. Just as America had once vowed to pursue terrorists after 9/11, so too must Israel and its allies act today. And in doing so, no country that harbours militants can consider itself immune from responsibility.